Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Triple Play Fantasy YouTube channel. I'm your host, Marty Tallman, lead fantasy baseball analyst at Triple Play Fantasy. You can find me on Twitter at Marty_Tallman. Okay, let's hop into it. It's the 2022 MLB Free Agency Fantasy Update. So over the last week, MLB Free Agency has really heated up. Hopefully you're following Jeff Passan, you're getting all of the updates, and today is November 28th. Today is kind of where the S hit the fan. So we're going to hop into the latest signings, how much the player signed for, and what that means quickly for their fantasy outlook. So let's start with the top dog of the day, Mr. Marcus Semien. So Marcus Semien has been an MVP candidate 2 out of the 3 last years, and his contract definitely shows it. So Marcus Semien signed with the Texas Rangers, 7 years, $175 million. And overall, for me, his fantasy value is slight down, but I'll get into that. In 2021, Semien posted a career-high 45 home runs, career-high 102 RBIs, and 15 steals, while increasing his hard hit percentage to an all-time high. He took advantage of hitting in one of the best lineups in baseball while hitting in the predominantly hitter-friendly AL East. Now, Semien is in Texas, which is considered a neutral park with home runs, and slightly favors the pitcher overall. So definitely not a hitter's park, like he's used to. Definitely not the AL East like he's used to. And so for that, I think his counting stats and his overall power numbers are going to be slightly down, but not enough to affect his ranking. So Semien is still my overall 4th ranked shortstop. He can also play second base as well. So good for him. He earned a big paycheck. Definitely earned it. The Rangers need a big bat in that lineup. And so let's move on to Byron Buxton. So Byron Buxton re-signed with the Minnesota Twins, 7 years, $100 million. And because he's staying in Minnesota, his fantasy value is staying the same as well. So in just 61 games last year, Buxton hit 19 home runs, stole 9 bases, and slashed .306, .358, and .647. Basically, this dude is a freak athlete. All right, his sprint speed is in the 99th percentile. His max exit velocity is in the 96th percentile. And the only question is whether or not he can stay healthy. And so far, he has not. So overall, I see the $100 million. And when you break it up per year, it's not too crazy, but it's hard to invest in a guy that cannot stay healthy. So from a fantasy perspective, I'm going to be staying away from Buxton. But if you do dive in and he does stay healthy, I mean, he has the possibility of just being a 30-30 guy. So good luck with that. Let's move on to our next guy, Starling Marte, the best center fielder on the market, signed with the New York Mets, a 4-year, $78 million contract, and overall his fantasy value is looking up. So when we talk about a contract year, there is no bigger example of this than Starling Marte. Playing on the Marlins and the A's, Marte stole 47 bases while hitting .310 and still getting 12 home runs overall. So he absolutely showed out. He did everything he could to increase his value as much as he could. And overall, I do think his fantasy value is on the up. Number one, because he's on a team that wants him. They are committed to him. He should be hitting at the top of that lineup. And the lineup is actually pretty good. So they're going to have Pete Alonso. They're going to have Francisco Lindor. Mark Canha is going to be another guy they're going to be able to get on base as well. So I like it from a counting stats point of view. Now, where I am concerned and where you're going to be spending the most money for Marte is his ability to get swipes. So he's 33 years old. Last year, he had a career low sprint speed for him. Obviously, it didn't really affect him too much. He still got, 47 stolen bases. But overall, his body is declining. And for steals, there's 2 things that are important. Number one, I mean, the player's got to be willing to steal. Buxton has showed that, Marte has shown that he loves doing that. But number 2, and what might even be more important, is the philosophy of the team. Does the team often steal bases? Is the manager comfortable with letting his guys run? And so far, the Mets have proven that they are not that type of team. So last year, the Mets ranked in the bottom 5 in steals. So I'm a little bit nervous overall for his stolen bases because of his age and because of the overall philosophy of the team. All right, let's hop into Avisail Garcia. So Garcia is now leaving the Brewers, and he's going over to the beautiful Miami. So he signed with the Miami Marlins, 4 years, $53 million. And although it's a good contract for him, his overall fantasy value is down. So in 2021, Garcia had a career year. He had 29 home runs. He had a career high in runs and RBIs. So he earned this contract. This is the contract, and actually his overall year was what we've been waiting 10 years to see from him, But going into Miami, such a huge downgrade in ballpark and team. So playing in Milwaukee, it's a great hitter's park. The team's stacked, a lot of good. It was a top 5 offensive team. But now we're going to be going into the Marlins, which historically don't have that much talent around them. So where I don't see the counting stats being there as much, definitely a huge downgrade in the ballpark as far as being able to hit as many homers as possible. But what I do like about the Miami Marlins, and this is piggybacking off what I was saying earlier, it's all about the philosophy of the team when it comes to steals. So the Marlins were tied for 4th in steals last year. So I love that for his value. I see him getting maybe 12, maybe even up to 15. And another thing I like about it for Garcia is that in theory, he shouldn't be fighting for a spot to play. He should, be in right field or wherever they're going to put him, and he should be, as long as he's healthy, playing 150, 160 games. Back onto the Mets. So the Mets had a heck of a last few days. So they also signed Eduardo Escobar, second base, third baseman, 2 years, $20 million, and I actually really like this for his fantasy value. So last year, Escobar played for the Diamondbacks and Brewers. He's 32 years old, but he had a really productive season. I mean, he hit 28 home runs. He drove in 90 runs. And from a hitting standpoint, I really like that he increased his launch angle, and that led to a career high 8.9 barrel percentage. So he's hitting the ball harder than he's ever hit the ball. He's swinging up, trying to get it out of the park. And although once he did land in Milwaukee, it was a little bit weird. He batted .293 over his first 30 games, and then he went for a 3 for 30 skid. So, he's going to be up, he's going to be down. But considering where you're going to get him, as far as his value, it should be at a good value in your drafts. I do forecast him as playing an every day. I think the Mets are going to need him. And I think he has a good floor for 20 home runs. Last but not least, Canha. Okay, so the Mets signed him as well, the outfielder and first baseman. They got moving over from the Oakland Athletics. Last year, Canha hit 17 home runs, and he stole 12 bases. He's a great on-base percentage guy. He walks 12.3% of the time, which is in the 87th percentile. Now, the only question for Canha is, will he play every day? I assume that they didn't sign him for $13 million a year to not play him, or for 26/2 to not play him. So what I think that also means is for Dominic Smith is he might be getting the boot. He might be taking over everything that Dominic Smith has done so far. So I love that he's on the Mets. I love that he's out of the A's organization, and I think he should have a career year with them. So Mark Canha's fantasy value is up. All right, guys. Well, that will do it. Thank you. Keep staying in tune here on the Triple Play Fantasy YouTube channel. MLB free agency is getting even crazier. We still have a few more days before the clock strikes midnight on the CBA agreement. So anything could happen. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Marty_Tallman, lead fantasy baseball analyst. I'm currently working on all of my rankings, which you can find on the website as well. My next round is going to be outfield, so excited to dive into that. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.